Okay, so in this video we are going to talk about using a specific mixture of fevicol and water which can be applied at the ending of your final art piece to sort of preserve it for a long time and make it long lasting. Before going into that, we need to understand about a few different tools that we use during arts and different mediums that we are using. This that I've got here is a 8B pencil, which is specifically used for drawings. No, sorry, specifically used for sketches, making the dark shades and highlights. This, on the other hand, is a black color pencil, which we get in any color pencil sets. This is our normal writing pencil, the normal pencil using which we draw. This is a solid pen, this is a gel pen. And this is a marker or a sketch pen. Now this is something that we call as a blending stump. It is just a simple, if you can see this, it's just a simple roll of paper that enables us to do something that is known as smudging. We'll get into that right now. Okay, so before we do anything else, we know that this is a poster color, simple normal poster color paint. Just take a little bit of water, a little bit of this paint, and just gonna lay a simple big patch of color on the paper itself so that it can dry over time. Now let's get started. You see, this is what we use for sketching. See, this line is much more darker, so when you do this line is eventually going to be much more darker than this line, which we make using, can you zoom in please? Okay, yeah, using this normal pencil. So what difference you'll get is using this blending stump, when you sort of smudge it in, you get that sort of shading, and you can pull the graphite particles outwards. See that? The same thing can be done using your simple fingers and make it much more broader, but what that does, it makes your finger dirty. So it's advisable to use this blending stump. So when we do that to the normal graphite pencil, the intensity of that smudge is much more lesser. Now moving on, if we take the marker and the normal gel pen, we can see that they don't smudge at all. They remain a solid line. And as for the pencil color, the intensity of this and the marker is nearly same, but when you try and smudge this, you can see it smudges just a little bit. So these are the different types of mediums that you can use for arts: the normal pencil, the sketch pen, the color pencil, you've got your normal pen, and your sketching 8B pencil, and this is just a blending stump. So today we are going to talk about something that I've actually been asked by one of my viewers, and it is about using a solution of fevicol and water to preserve such arts. Now, as you know, when you run your finger over a marker or a pen, it does not smudge. So exposure to finger touches or exposure for a long time to air is not going to affect these materials much. On the other hand, when you're using specifically these three pencil mediums, they tend to sort of create a blending area, or create a sort of a smudge around them when it comes in contact with anything like a hand or something like a roll of paper or something. So when it is exposed for a long time, or when it is exposed to other people, it can cause a sort of a wear down of your art, or it can cause your art to look a little old and unfinished over time. So you want to apply the solution of fevicol and water to these 3 specific pencils and not these 2, because you can apply on marker and pen as well, but applying it and not applying it would be the same, because without the solution it's not gonna matter, right? So I'll be right back. Okay, so this is just normal clear water, and I have got just locally available paper liquid adhesive over here. This is fevicol. If you didn't know, I just took the sticker out. So what you want to do is pour in somewhat equal amounts of fevicol and water in sort of a solution. Just take your time, no need to hurry. Your artwork's already done, that's why you're doing this. So take somewhat equal amounts of it. I don't really need much, right? So the amount of fevicol that you need is completely dependent upon the scale of art that you're doing. If your art is of a larger scale, you will need more of this. If you're doing a smaller scale art, you'll need much less of this. Alright, so yeah, what you want to do is you want to mix all of this up properly so that you can get a proper solution. Using this, you'll not necessarily get a complete liquid solution. You'll get something that is a little close to fevicol but with much more water content. I'll be right back after mixing this. So yeah, this is the final solution that you will probably get, right? And as you can see, it sticks to your brush, so you just take it and apply it over the areas where you have used the pencils, right? Just go over it properly. See that wet area? That's where the fevicol is at. Now when that dries up, what it'll do is it'll create a sort of a layer. As you may have noticed, when you're using fevicol on paper, when you add fevicol, it creates a layer on top of the paper. So when we do this on top of art or on top of a sketch, it creates a layer of fevicol on top of your lines. Hence, after drying, if you run your finger over it, you're not touching the pencil itself, but your finger is running over the layer of fevicol, so that prevents any sort of smudging. But this can be different on the basis of the materials you're using. As I've already said, if you're using a black marker or any sort of a sketch pen or marker, or you're using a pen, like even if you apply this or not apply this, you can't smudge this off, so there's really no point of using this, right? And now about the thing that we did in the beginning of this video, which is add this big blob of paint over here. Now when you're using this adhesive, I highly recommend using this only for pencil mediums, because pencil is not much affected by water. It still keeps some of its it still keeps a lot of its shading and its basic shape and structure when you're using this on pencil. But when you use this on top of paint, because this is water and this poster color is a water based paint, when you run this over this thing, you can see that it washes away the paint itself. You can see that. So whenever you're using this, make sure that the material that you're using is not going to be affected like this by water. Like, you are not supposed to use this solution on top of poster colors, because poster colors are easily mixed in with water and they can just spread out like this when you use the solution, right? So yeah, that is about it. And another one important thing that you need to keep in mind is this is a standard quality art file, and when you're adding this huge amounts of water on it, it can create some bulges on the paper, and these bulges do not make big of a difference in the final output. You keep it under proper pressure for some time, it's going to straighten out. But when you're using some other paper, like this is a small copy that I got as a sort of a gift from my friend. This contains A4 size papers, right? As you can see, these are A4 size papers cut into small pieces. So these papers are really good for writing, really good for basic sketches, but I do not recommend using water on these A4 size papers, because usage of overwater can cause the paper to become very thin and tear, because this is not made for watercolor. So that's about it. Whenever you're using a fevicol and water solution to finalize your art, make sure that your material is not affected by water. You don't need this solution. You don't need this solution if you're using a marker or a pen. I recommend this solution for pencil arts especially. And yeah, before using any sort of water, make sure that your paper is of good quality, right? That's probably it. If you have any more questions, anything related to art, anything that's of high advanced level as well, you can ask me. If I don't know the answer, I'll Google it up, I'll try and find it for you. I know my art teachers as well. My art teacher is the one who had taught me how to do this, and I'll try to ask them and clear you as much as possible. Now, one other question that you may have is this the best method of doing it? No, this is the most basic method of doing it. There are certain chemicals, certain media, other mediums, liquid mediums that are found out there in the market, which are found at a reasonable price, I suppose, but they're not found everywhere, so it's a little bit hard to get. But those chemicals are much more effective for preserving the arts, right? Because they are specifically created for the purpose. So yes, there are other chemicals available in the market for this specific purpose, but if you're not so much into art, if you're not a professional artist, or if you are finding it hard to find such chemicals, or if you are just trying to make use of what you have and not go out and try something vaguely artistic or try something completely new, this is the way to do it. It works, and it has not failed me yet, and I know it'll not fail you as well. So yes, any sort of confusions, anything like that, comment down below, send me a message. This was a message that my friend had sent me through Instagram, and I am very happy that she did so. And yeah, hope I have cleared your confusions. And if you want me to show you how to make this blending stump, you can just tell me. This is something that you can make at home. You can buy it as well, but it's much more easier to make at home. So yes, thank you and peace out.